how's it going? It's Al. Welcome to the Week 8 Halloween edition on DraftKings. We're going to take questions from the chat for the next hour or so. I'm live on Twitch, as I am many days during the week. Go drop a follow on the Twitch channel if you wanted to know when I'm live. We're going to break down everything for this Week 8 main slate. 13 games on it. Massive slate. Absolutely love the larger slates like this one. And there's two types of people in the daily fantasy space. There are fish and there are sharks. So I'm not even wearing a costume. I'm just here trying to answer your questions. My cheat sheet is live in our community Discord. Go to smizzle.tv/Discord. You have to be a channel member in order to get it. To become a channel member, you go to smizzle.tv/join. That only costs $5 a month. Once you become a channel member, once you join the Discord, you can go to the hashtag instructions folder and link your Discord account to the same email address that you subbed with here on YouTube, and your name will turn from white to red, and you'll see access to all of the VIP channels where 10,000 members of our Smizz Gang community strong are trying to win and make lineups every single week. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. Let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smizz Gang Listener League, where all the sharks love to swim. $10 to enter 3 max, 4,000 entry spots available, and absolutely no rake. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings, but it does not exist in DraftKings lobby. You got to go to smizzle.tv/links to find the link to the Listener League, as well as everything else that I do. So please make sure that you reserve your seats entry because this are early, because this will fill, and I will shout out all of the top 10 finishers on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel on Monday. On the recap video, you can check out the week 6, the week 7, everything else that exists on that channel. I go over my cash game lineups, my tournament lineups, battle royale pick'ems, everything else to see whether or not I won or lost on the week, where I made mistakes, where I got lucky, where I got unlucky, and everything else. So go to the link tree, make sure that you join the Listener League, and let's bring in the chat. 2 fins up, thank you. I appreciate that. Comments are going to be mad funny. They probably will be. Last year I was Ted Lasso. This year I just decided I'm going to go with the shark onesie. And I mean, look, you got to make your decision. This is a very, I'm not going to say it's a straightforward slate, but the slate is wrapped around specific things. I think that there are very easy ways to get different. I still think that we should stack and double stack. I do think that we got to bring things back with specific players that correlate with our stacks. Correlation is going to be key, but all of the value this week, like all of it, is at running back. The running back position on the cheat sheet, I typically list like 5 different running backs, 5 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, guys that I think are the standout plays. But a little sneak preview for the cheat sheet, I basically had to put a caveat in there with the running back. There's like 15 running backs I could have put as top value running back plays this week. And they're everywhere. Christian McCaffrey does not project as a top value, but like he's one of the top plays on every slate, right? Like he can 50 burger whenever. And if this game does happen to stay close and does shoot out, then you could do a whole lot with Christian McCaffrey in that lineup. I do think that we've talked about opening up running back as a part of our double stacks. I think that Christian McCaffrey can be utilized as a part of a San Francisco stack, no matter who the quarterback is. San Francisco stacks are in play, whether it's Purdy or whether it's Darnold. That just is what it is. We'll take a look over at the solver a little bit later in the show to look at what their Sims product has kind of spit out. I ran 300 lineups on a vanilla tournament build, forcing double stacks, forcing bring back plays, forcing secondary stacks, to see what it thinks are the optimal stacks with large field and small field. So like Christian McCaffrey's fine. I don't care which quarterbacks there. Like Raheem Mostert, 7,700, 5 running back. We know that he's got a good floor and a very accessible ceiling any week that he takes the field. Alvin Kamara, probably going to be one of the chalkiest 3 running backs. Cash game consideration. Our mods are running the polls to try and figure out where the cash game core is from the chat. Travis Etienne looks like an extremely high leverage play with 6 touchdowns over the last 3 games and squaring off against Pittsburgh, kind of a middling defense against running backs. The uber chalk is going to be Breece Hall against the Giants. Giants are what, like 10th in the league in DraftKings points against to the running back position. Bijan, after his headache last week, he is at 6K, which he's been 8, 79, 78, 77, 72. He has not dipped below 7,200 any week. And the pricing algorithm, whether it was due to one thing or another, I don't know if it was due to the larger slate. I don't know if it was due to completely him being active and putting up no points. Whatever happened, it spit him out at 6K this week. So he's a tremendous value. Jonathan Taylor got 22 opportunities last week, plays at home. You can't play all these running backs. It's impossible. Isaiah Pacheco against the number one team that we want to stream running backs against at Denver. They are 8.5 point favorites or 8 point favorites in this one with the second highest team total on the slate. There's so many running backs available that I don't think you're going to be able to get differentiation there, right? I don't think that's going to happen. So in order to get differentiation, you're going to have to do it at like wide receiver and tight end. And I do think that there are spots that you can get that at. We're not talking about cash games, just talking about, and Pollard, $5 running back as well. Home, favored, goal line, passing game, 20 plus. There's running backs galore, basically all over the place. So it's made it difficult. It makes it difficult to kind of make lineups. Would I try to make a point to pay up from Hunt to Hall, limited injury, hand-built GPPs? I think Hunt is fine. So Hunt not listed on the injury report via Underdog NFL, their aggregator account where they just spit out news constantly from whoever puts it out there. They kind of aggregate it in one place. Jerome Ford is listed as questionable for week 8. His injury keeps moving up the leg. First it was just a low ankle sprain, then it was just an ankle sprain. Now it's a high ankle sprain. We'll kind of see where that goes, if he plays or if he doesn't. If he doesn't, Kareem Hunt a better play than if Jerome Ford plays, because there's just less barrier to snaps. Yeah, don't be mad, chat. Don't be mad if Frostbite only has 5 running backs to play with, right? There's too many running backs. Does Denver's snow affect Kansas City, Denver? Exclamation point weather in the chat. I think people react too much to weather. I definitely think people put way too much weight on weather on Friday, which is when we're recording this show. I care about super extreme wind, super extreme rain. Snow really doesn't affect games as much as people think. Because they can't do this. Yeah, but they can't tackle either. It's easier for offensive players in the snow. Remember, one of the worst snow games I've ever seen was Philly and the Lions 10 years ago. It was 2013 or something, where Philly played the Lions. It was at the Draft Street Championship, I think, in Vegas. I was at Legacy Stadium, and there was a foot of snow on the field. And it was going to be the chalkiest game on the slate at that point. Calvin Johnson, LaShawn McCoy, who was the white receiver on Philadelphia? Deshaun Jackson and this other dude, Cooper, I forget what his name was. And they still went off. There was still a ton of yards, a lot of touchdowns, everything else. Riley Cooper, thank you. Yes. Did I win a Million Maker with a weather game that people avoided? No, I don't think. I won in week 2. There shouldn't have been weather in week 2. I came in second in 2013, back when Monday Night Football was on the main slate, and I won it in 2016. You're in Denver, definitely going to be cold. Yeah, cold doesn't really affect. Even extreme, again, worry about the extremes. Cold, if it's going to be 5 or 10 degrees, whatever. Is it negative 15 degrees with a negative 30 wind chill? Yeah, we're going to worry about that. We're not going to worry about 15 degrees. I don't even know what the weather is in Denver because it's Friday and I don't need to deal with that yet. Worry about picking the plays that you think are the best plays, and then you alternate for weather on Sunday morning when you see the field and the conditions. That's when that's when you make your adjustments. Is Taylor going to the Chiefs game? These are the important questions. Yeah. Did you see what's the Heights, the Kelsey podcast where Jason brought up look, you're just not getting it done if T Swift isn't there. Colorado weather can change several times in a single day. Also New England. The Northeast is like that too. So let's get off of weather. David Montgomery, ribs, not seen participating in practice again Friday. That's not a main slate game. Curtis Samuel listed as questionable for week 8. I think that that's an interesting spot with Wash. Ooh, we had a tie. All right. That's fair. Tie is fine. Tie is fine. Tie is fine. Tie is fine. We had a tie at running back for the cash game plays. I think that there are 2 ways to go at one position in cash games. At quarterback specifically, you're building two different lineups. You missed the polls. The polls are at the top chat. There are two types of lineups you can build. One around an 8K or higher quarterback. That's it. The other around Sam Darnold at 4,300. Those are the only two types of cash game lineups you should be building. You should not be living in the 6K range in cash games. I'm sure people will do it. It's one or the other. You're either going all the way down to Sam Darnold because you think that he is, going to be just fine in this system with McCaffrey and Ayuk and Kittle and whoever else, or you're paying up for Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, or Jalen Hurts. So like the first Minshew game. Yeah, it's one or the other. It's nowhere in between. Those are the two optimal lines for cash. And it's going to come down to, do you think that you're going to get separation from getting an 8K wide receiver to go along with Sam Darnold, or are you going to get a 4K to 5K wide receiver to go along with the higher floor of the like Jalen Hurts type quarterback who basically averages 25 fantasy? Like if Darnold has an 11-point day, you need separation from that 8K wide receiver. But if the 4K wide receiver has 17 to 23 points and the quarterback has 25 to 30, that's why I'm saying those are the only two routes, in my opinion. If you like something else, feel free to play something else. I'm just telling you those are the two optimal routes that I personally see as the ways to go. Shouldn't I vomit while saying Sam Darnold? It's not the other Sam, the 3 running back or Kelsey and Cash. I think it's a 3 running back week. There's just so much volume. There's so much players in good spots that are massively underpriced. They're the biggest values on the slate from a points per dollar, from a fantasy points over expectation, on median projection. That's where the value is, and you'll make it fit. There's also a super chalky tight end for cash games. McBride now a good value with Ertz on IR. That's the super chalky tight end. How many license plates have I eaten today? 3. How do you determine when it's a Kelsey week? It's kind of like Kevin Durant back when he was putting our Kobe, when he was having like a 50-point day every single night of NBA in like 2014 in like February. So I was doing rotogrinders shows with Peter Jennings at that time, and Pete said, "Are you going to pay up and get Kevin Durant tonight?" And I said, "Are the Thunder playing?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Is Kevin Durant injured or is he playing?" He said, "Kevin Durant's in." I said, "Then I'm playing Kevin Durant." So like, I think it's a cash game question, because in tournaments, you're always playing Kelsey. You're always looking for differentiators, and you should be. You should always be looking for differentiators with cash or tournament lineups. And tight end and defense are the two differentiating positions. Players with access to a ceiling at running back and wide receiver have to really ceiling, because like 25 to 35 is nice from a chalky running back or wide receiver. Like it puts them in a position where it's like, okay, you probably have to have them, but there's other running backs and wide receivers who can get them, right? Who can get you that many points, because there's so many running backs and so many wide receivers. Last week we saw like Deontay Foreman get like 30 points, and Jahmyr Gibbs, who seemingly that offense should have gotten completely scripted out. They didn't, and they just threw the ball to him like 11 times. So like Jahmyr Gibbs ended up with a great day, and he ran for like a 30-yard touchdown. So in cash, like this is what you're asking for. When do you know it's a Kelsey? When there's enough value everywhere else that you can just afford to get to him, because they price him kind of out of the range, right? So if you're saying, well, you need to view him like a wide receiver, there's a lot of wide receivers in that price range that can go for that. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. There's a lot of dudes that can do what he does. Like Travis Kelce is averaging 21.8 fantasy points on the season. Adam Thielen is averaging 22.6 fantasy points on the season and is 1,400 less than Travis Kelce. The difference is wide receiver is not a differentiating position unless a guy goes for 55 points, where at tight end, there aren't that many guys that can go for 20 plus. And are they all going to go for 20 plus on the same week, kind of like last week when it was National Tight Ends Day and they all went for like 20 plus, where I was like, okay, I can pivot off of Kelce, and if I can get a 20 plus point day out of Mark Andrews and Kelsey has like 12 or 13 points, then I win. Problem is Kelsey had like 40 points. So I had Kelsey in cash, but I had Mark Andrews in tournaments. Which games project as the fastest? I mean, the games that project to play quickly are Cowboys, Rams, Saints, Colts, Texans, Panthers is like the sneaky one, right? They just don't, it's got a low total, but they project to get a lot of plays. They're just not very efficient teams at scoring touchdowns. So like there's teams that you could get to, you know, that could get to value. Pickens, Nico, Flowers, and McLaurin rank for cash. Flowers is probably my favorite one of that group. Great plays for wide receiver under 5K. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's do the cash game core. And since the tight end one is still going, I'm going to call it, and we kind of know who it's going to be. There's plenty of value with volume, and Trey McBride is who chat has voted in as the cash game tight end. Game log watch is going to say he's not that good. Well, actually, he's a good prospect. He is a fantastic athlete at the tight end position, good speed score, good at catching the ball. Zach Ertz out vacates an awful lot of snaps and routes and targets, and Trey McBride at this point in his career probably better at earning targets than is one Zach Ertz. So you have a floor. The last 2 weeks, 11 targets. If he gets 5, 6, 7 targets this week, I think that that's extremely reasonable, and at 2,800, you can use that in cash. Now, would you play him in tournaments? You better correlate him, and you better find, because like the chances for him to have a ceiling game, while possible, like he could have a 7-8 target game and score 1 or 2 touchdowns. He is a talented player. Maybe that happens. They're inefficient at producing touchdowns from their quarterback, just the way it is. Now, if and when Kyler comes back, we're going to have to see if that's before the Call of Duty release. But if both of those things align, then McBride should see an uptick. But his price is not going to be this low. He's going to be a $3,500 to $3,700 tight end next week, so he's massively underpriced. The other cash game plays that chat has selected: Jamar Chase, 8,100. Don't mind that at all. I think that you're going to pay up at wide receiver if you are paying for Sam Darnold at quarterback, like chat says that you should do. As I said, there's 2 routes to go this week at cash game with your quarterback spot. It's either you're paying way down for Sam Darnold in the case that Purdy does not clear concussion protocol, or you're paying way up for the triple up here of Patrick Mahomes, Hurts, or Jackson. One of these 3 up here in great matchups. You know that they've got higher fantasy points per game. There's just never that much separation between the first quarterback and the 8th quarterback on a slate, especially on a 13-game slate where there are 26 quarterbacks playing. But like you look at Jalen Hurts's 25, 22, 31, 27, 21, 26. So it's either this expensive guy and a cheap quarterback, or pay up at quarterback, lock in the floor, and hope for a high target, high catch game from a 4 to 5K wide receiver. And they tied. Usually we only do 4 players, but I think that they're right. This is the tie. Alvin Kamara getting wide receiver 1 usage, and like wide receiver 1, like 14 targets up against an Indy defense that really doesn't do a good job at stopping stuff. They allow everybody to score against them. They have allowed the 4th most DraftKings points to opposing running backs. And they also said Breece Hall, who I think is going to be the highest rostered running back on the slate. Massive floor of targets, much more volume. Dalvin Cook is mad because he totally didn't see that Breece Hall was going to get a lot of carries. Like, I like the attitude. I like the bravado, but like, you knew. As soon as he was healthy, he was going to take over that job as an ascending running back. So this is chat's cash game core, and I think it's right. Like I said, you could do something else. You could go expensive quarterback, but like, this is also just fine. This is probably where most people should be starting with their cash games. I think that that's like, cash games, don't overthink it. I say this all the time. People want to go like totally different routes in cash games, and you shouldn't. Don't do that. Cash lineup is head to head. Yes. Cash games can be defined very simply as games that pay out 33% or more of the field. Triple ups, 50-50s, double ups, head to head games. And the first place prize is the same as the last person in the money. So a 50-50 or a double up, if it's a 200-man 50-50, if you finish first, you get the same amount of money as the guy who comes in 50th. So I don't need to be faster than everybody. I just got to be faster than the bear. That's it, right? So sorry, I messed that up. I don't need to be faster than the bear. I just got to be faster than you, right? That's all that there is to it. If you can just beat half the field, you don't need 250 points from your cash game lineup. Typically speaking, you need like 150. If you can score 150 in cash, then you're fine. Yeah, the chat says, no, I don't have to be faster than the shark. Yeah, I just got to be fast. I just got to swim faster than you. Just don't be the slowest fish. We always called them the three-legged wildebeest, right? The lion's not hunting the biggest, strongest, healthiest, fastest wildebeest. He's looking for the one with 3 legs hanging out at the back of the pack. He's a little sickly. It's the easier one to go get. Just be faster than that guy. That's all you got to do. If you can hit 150 in cash, you're going to be profitable more weeks than not. This could be a higher scoring week because there are more games. Anytime there's more games, there's more players to play. There's more opportunities at players to have 25, 30 plus fantasy points. Gorilla versus Grizzly Bear. Who wins? No idea. The viewer. Falcons D chalk defense. Could be with those rookie quarterbacks. There's a lot of good defenses on the slate. Before we do that, let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. Let's check out what they have in terms of pick'em. And if you have not gotten your free money, they have either $100 or $500 first time deposit bonus. I don't know which one it is, but you should go over there if you don't have an account. Use code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE, and claim your first time deposit bonus to the site today that you can use on their great stuff like these pick'ems. I don't want anybody from the Rams in Dallas. Let's do some of the cash game core guys that chat picked, right? Give me, oh look, they added this. Why is there a Philly special? Either a rushing or a receiving touchdown. I kind of think that's kind of fun. But give me higher than 21 completions for Jalen Hurts. I like him. I did mention him in the cash game. Alvin Kamara, higher than 36 receiving yards. Seems automatic. Breece Hall, give me higher than 89. Let's minimize this game. Y'all like Chase. So let's get this game out of here. Let's get this one gone. Let's get this one gone. So many games to get gone. Cleveland, Seattle, no. Cincinnati, there we go. Jamar Chase, that's a lot. Fine. Higher than 80. This is high. This is a lot of yards. We're going to need that. We're going to need help there. We're going to need help with that one. And do we have Arizona? I'm betting the hires because I'm a donkey and just leave me alone. Okay. $100 to win 2,000. $100 to win 2,000. If I hit this 5 for 5, I'm going to give away $100 on the Monday stream. So you got to be there on Twitch to get that one. Submit. Confirm, it's in. If we hit this stupid 5 for 5, I'm giving away $100 on Monday's stream. Easy. Boom. Ship it. ETN over a touchdown. ETN is a really good leverage play this week. Should be a donkey for Halloween next week. Next year, maybe. Alan Ricochet had a tough DFS day, but my parlay saved me. And Rainmakers. Wait, there. Need my shark mask. How much is Noah Brown in play for GPP? Tougher with Noah Brown, with everybody healthy now in Houston. I do think that Houston double stacks are interesting, though, this week. Bobby Trees might be out. Again, I can't make that decision if while he's in, it's hard to make that decision. I think Schultz is in play. I think Nico's in play. I think Tank being back with the high upside that he has. I think Brown is somebody that they really like in that offense. And if Bobby Trees is out, that condenses it. But there's still 4 guys to get targets. And it's a team that we want to attack with running backs. Brandon Powell for cash. You could go Powell or you could go Cowboys receiver for 3,400. Born okay at 47. I saw that question earlier. Is Born okay as the last man in cash? Yes. So like you're gonna have a lot of situations when you build a cash game this week where your last man in is gonna be like a $4,500 to $5,100 wide receiver, and like as long as you project that they're gonna have volume, that they're all fine. They're all just fine. Downs, yeah, he's in that category. Bourne's in that category. Like we can go over to DraftKings and look, right? So like with all those cash game builds that we had, whether you're Darnold or whether you're expensive quarterback, right? You're going to end up in this range. You're going to get guys like Tank Dell, full participant in practice this week. Downs, over 20% of the target market share. Thomas against Indy, 7-8, 7-6, 9 targets. He hasn't done much with them, but like he's getting a ton of volume. Bourne, tons of volume as well. 7-11 the last 2 weeks. Scored a touchdown last week. Otherwise, it's a pretty pedestrian 12.3 fantasy points. There's a lot of guys in that range. Sutton at 53, like Marquise, if you want the revenge game narrative against Baltimore, he's gotten a boatload of targets. They've just been inefficient. I don't know if I want 2 Cardinals in cash though. Douglas, Gallup, yeah, the cheap guys down there at like 3K. So So down in this range, you got Michael Gallup at 3,400, 10 targets, 5 targets, 6, 7. I'm not expecting 10 from him, but like probably in this 6 target range for him at 3,400 with his downfield ability. We just spoke about Powell on Minnesota, who has stepped into a higher volume slot role, averaging 5 targets a game. They're all low A-dot targets. They're not Wan'Dale Robinson low A-dot targets. Hyatt worth a flyer in GPP? Yeah, oh, definitely. I don't like Hyatt in cash games, but Hyatt's 3,100 and they're only throwing him 9s. He is, again, we've talked about guys like him before. He is essentially the seagulls from Finding Nemo, but instead of mine, he says 9. He gets in the huddle and they're like, all right, we're going to one wide 2 spider banana. And like Jalen Hyatt looks at Tyrod and he goes, 9. That's all he runs. He just runs fly routes. And he's really fast. So, like, if they get one of those to him last week, they completed a 42-yarder and then another 33-yarder to him. So, like, they are targeting this kid deep down the field. He's running a ton of routes. He's playing way more snaps. I expect that to expand as the weeks go along. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Hyatt's a Nazi confirmed? No. Yeah, Hyatt is basically running Ridley's route tree right now. Ridley is basically only outside and only downfield. That's it. Running no routes under 20 yards. So if he's open and they hit him, great. But he's not running a full route tree. They're not involving him. They're running Kirk and Ingram and all of the underneath stuff, and they're running him way downfield. And the short stuff goes to like Agnew. Again, this is with Zay Jones out. Going to Agnew and going to ETN out of the backfield. You miss Will Fuller. Yeah, I do too. Kirk, London, Downs, and Cash. Sure. I think London's fringy for Cash, personally. No one likes Pollard and Cash? Yeah, he's fine. Like I said, there's so many running backs that I don't think that you can say this guy is not a Cash. There's 10 running backs that you could play in Cash, but I think that the first 2 are probably Kamara and Breece Hall. I think chat got that one very right. And then you could play Pollard, you could play Pacheco, you could play 5 other guys and not be wrong. Do I have set a max exposure for each position? Obviously, it matters on slate size. I tend to because of the nature of the game. So with basketball, I allow a lot more. With basketball, I'll allow like 85, 90% of a player. I don't do that in football. Like, it's rare that I do that in football. A guy can step on a lineman's foot and turn an ankle and he's done on the second series of the game. He can get hit innocuously. He can have somebody's knee run into his helmet and then he's just in concussion protocol and he's out. Just the nature of football makes it so that I don't want to have that much. Like, I'll allow maybe sometimes 60% of a player. Taysom Hill starting at QB with tight end designation. What? Oh yeah, that was yes. I thought you were saying like this week. I'm like, what did I miss? I'm like staring down here at TweetDeck to see if something just happened. But like Taysom Hill's, it's a joke, and I always say the joke, and like I don't want to be totally like Taysom Hill's package has gotten bigger the last couple of weeks. This Taysom Hill right here is dangerous. This is a dangerous Taysom Hill package where he's getting 5 and 8 targets, running a lot of routes at tight end, and also getting rushing attempts and goal to go snaps. This is potentially game breaking for 4K. Now with Juwan Johnson coming back and him being, limited with a chest in practice, we'll see how much he's going to, play by Sunday morning. But like, this is the way they have utilized him the last couple of weeks has been extremely fantasy friendly. When I'm talking about how tight end versus DVP is a blurry stat in previous video this week, is quarterback, running back, wide receiver more useful with defense versus position? There's a lot more volume. It's a matter of sample size. A lot of teams just don't throw the ball to tight ends. They'll throw it 2, 3, 4 times and like only when they have to. There's not a lot of tight ends that command usage and targets. There's teams that don't utilize them. There's teams like the 49ers who have a Hall of Fame tight end in George Kittle, in my opinion. All pro caliber, likely a Hall of Fame tight end. And when they're at full strength with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Egg, he gets like 3, 4 targets a game because that's just not where things go. That's not where they need to go. Where teams run 3, 4 wide receivers around and there's 40 attempts a week. So 35 to 40 attempts for quarterbacks. Well, if 5 of them are going to a tight end and 35 are going to a wide receiver, we have a lot more data over a 5, 6, 8, 10 week sample. Same thing with running backs. Teams run it running backs get 20 to 35 or 40 touches a game for an entire team. So it's much easier to know how a team performs. Also, yards before first contact, yards after first contact, those things are extremely sticky. Thought this year was supposed to be the year of the tight end, though. Every year during the summer, wow, tight end's really deep. I can just wait and get somebody like Irv Smith at pick 150 and I'll be just fine. No, you won't. Irv Smith sucks. All apologies to Irv Smith. I'm sure he's a great human being. You're just not impactful with fantasy. What lineup should you use for a 10-man top 2 make money? Start with a cash game and then add correlation. I don't want to get started on Arthur Smith. I don't want anything to do with that man. Are we going back to Rashee Rice this week? I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't. Rashee Rice in a high volume passing offense with a total of 26.5 against a team that gives up nothing but big plays. He's running most of his routes out of the slot. If we're going to not run something against the Broncos, what do you want to avoid defensively on the Broncos? You want to avoid Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain plays on the outside, doesn't travel to the slot. Very rarely, if ever. You're not running up against him because they don't run him where he guards. Who to bring back from the Broncos? Well, I would say not the running backs because there's not enough volume. There's the running backs this week. If you're playing a fringy running back this week, you probably shouldn't be playing a fringy running back, right? This guy might get like 10. This is not the week to play Jaylen Warren. Now watch Jaylen Warren go off for like 3 touchdowns and 35 fantasy points. So this is not the week to play a 10-touch running back. Because even if you win with that 10-touch running back, even if he gets you 22 or 25 points, do you gain any ground on the field, right? Do you gain any ground on the field with 15 running backs who project to be really, really solid plays this week? I'm just going to read off this rip here. We looked at this earlier this week. I'm just going to sort by guys who project for more than 2 fantasy points on median projection over their price expectation. There are 1, 2, and Jaylen Warren's one of them, actually. All right. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 of them. There are 20 running backs who project as really solid dark green values. He's the last one, but in order: Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Swift, Amari DiMarcado, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne, Darrell Henderson, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard, Alexander Madison, Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, Christian McCaffrey, Jaylen Warren. It's too many. Exactly, it's too many. So this is the problem of this week. People are going to want to try and get cute. Hey, can I play Najee Harris? Why the hell are you playing Najee Harris this week? I think that it's a Jerick McKinnon week. What the are you doing? This is not the week. You don't need to get cute. It's like you get asked to bring the macaroni and cheese to Thanksgiving dinner and you put dates in it. Don't experiment on Thanksgiving. Just bring the mac and cheese. Do not get spicy. Do not get cute at running back this week. You don't have to. Running backs who are, I have to move my fin to use the mouse. Running backs who are less than 15% owned projected this week, who I think project to get 20 plus touches on the weekend. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Amari DiMarcado. If Ford is out, Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson, Raheem Mostert. Why are we messing around? Don't get cute. Not the week to get cute in week 8 at running back. Because when you win, what do you win? Even if, hey, look, I played Jaylen Warren and I got 22 fantasy points. Did it pick you up any points on the 47 other positive projecting running backs on the week? I don't think so. Following that rant, let's see if the Sims agree. We're going to go over to the solver, which is it's partnered with establishtheRun.com. If you use the projections over to Establish the Run for NFL or NBA, great. If you don't, go to smizzle.tv/ETR. You can get a discounted membership over to Establish the Run if you are a new member over there. We're going to go take a look at the solver. they have their lineup builder, and we've used Fantasy Labs. I use both as a part of my process at this point. So like, you can go over there, you sort by this. They also have NBA if you're an NBA player, loaded up with the established run projections. So I made 300 lineups already. Same thing, it's just in a different path. So I made vanilla lineups with like stacks and bringbacks and, you know, forcing low owned players and everything else, staying under 130%. I built 300 lineups. They're over here, and I ran simulations, which you can do over on the solver, so that you can see against the field that you want to play against. You can simulate, and you pick if you want to play against like a large field with mass multi-entry, the fair catch or the slant. If you want to play against smaller field, well, kind of let's say larger field, single entry, or high dollar like the Game Changer single entry games. Based on the lineups that I ran with kind of no restrictions whatsoever, you can see that there's a lot of quarterbacks that ended up in here, right? So I just had it run a bunch of quarterback stacks with doubles to see what it liked the best. And in the slant, in large field, sorted by sim ROI, it's projecting a lot of Sam Darnold to look real sexy. And look who it went with. Chalky plays like Kamara and Hall. Tank Dell Thielen as a secondary. Double stacking with Sam Darnold. Joe Mixon is kind of this one-off in this spot, no matter what defense. In the smaller field, you're going to see a different type of ROI. We'll sort by the best ones first. It kind of prefers Joe Burrow doubles in the smaller field stuff. Typically, the smaller field stuff is going to prefer higher floor quarterbacks. So this is kind of, and Kenny Pickett kind of popping in there as well. Little Minshew magic popping in there as well with a Pittman and Downs double with George Pickens, Pollard, Kamara, and Breece Hall. You can certainly get chalk into these lineups. Go to smizzle.tv/solver if you wanted to join the solver today. That's where all the sharks are. How much more to add the Sims thing? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I apologize. No high dollar QBs in either of those runs. I mean, at least not with that or with those settings. You can run a bunch of different types of settings with this and then run everything through. You can lock one quarterback if you choose. DJ Chark Week, I don't know. Based on my costume, probably. So like if I isolate, I'll do this right now. I don't even need a reason. So like if I isolate this to just Jalen Hurts, okay, and I tell it make 150 lineups, I got to make it allow 100% of a quarterback. Otherwise, it's not going to build those lineups. We'll optimize those, and then I'll run them for, you know, I'll let you see what it does after that's done, because it's going to take it like a couple of minutes to run that 150. You want to be a piranha in the Amazon. 25-cent tournament monster. See, it's not going to let me do it. It doesn't like building those. There's like it's just going to not have it. It made 23, and it probably made 23 because of the rules that I have set, and then I'd have to like jimmy around with the rules. So like, it's not great for me to do while on this stream. I could just max exposure and just eliminate the positional. Let's do that. Let's eliminate all the positional things. And we'll just allow 100% of any position and optimize. Keep asking questions. I had already removed the 15%. I thought I set it to 100, but like it did not like it. It kicked me off the horse. You're going to lose so much money on Pickett doubles this week. They graded out very well. If you watch the top stacks video, I did like those. I don't like it when this goes up there. You're going with my Uber driver? So I didn't have to take an Uber yesterday. I have no more Uber insights. When I have them, I'll let you know though. Are you more of a player groups in Fantasy Labs, or let's just say in a lineup builder, labs, solver, no matter what you use, rotogrinders? Do I leave it positions for rules for GPP? So we went over this on stream yesterday, and I have videos in the How to Win on DraftKings playlist where I've gone over this as well, more in depth. But I look at things through the lens of my quarterbacks when I'm trying to get my different allocations. So I'll have it build lineups, picking the quarterbacks I want, and then I'll isolate for each quarterback and see who it's pairing them with and see, is it just putting me way too much? So we did this on stream yesterday. You can go on Twitch in the VOD section and check it out, where like the Lamar Jackson stacks were like 100% OBJ and like 0% Mark Andrews, because it was just stuffing all the value with OBJ and Trey McBride. So like I go in and I say, in lineups that include Lamar Jackson, boost Mark Andrews, decrease, or downgrade OBJ, And that way I get a little bit better of a mix. So I go quarterback by quarterback as I'm building. That's why I say it's never just one room. Do we like the game environment for Jacksonville and Pittsburgh game, or should we stay away? So Pittsburgh has allowed the third most DraftKings points to opposing wide receivers, and the Jaguars have allowed the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks and the 10th most points to opposing wide receivers. I think that that's a pretty good tournament situation, at least in terms of matchups. And we kind of know where the ball's going to go. You know Pickett's going to get service. You know Freiermuth is out. You know that Deontay Johnson expects to play in this game. So there's similar spots that you can go to that are somewhat comfortable. So like here's the Jalen Hurts doubles in the Sims real quick. So this is who it went through. Average ROI, DJ. Yeah! It ended up with 2% DJ Chark. I did not force this. And he has the highest ROI of anybody in the Jalen Hurts doubles. Let's go! On brand with the Halloween costume. I think that that's the perfect way to end this video. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for watching and playing along with my silly Halloween costume. I wish you the best of luck. Make sure that you get into Discord. And if you're still watching the video, drop a like before you look for another video right there. Should I do like a thing? Should I do this? Should I do one of those? It's too labored. I can't make the chair move. Fin? What's wrong with the fin? Yeah, kind of a bendy fin. See, and then it fuzzes it makes the green screen lighting look stupid. Leave the chair and sit down. Can I slowly rise up? I'm 50. Can't be doing that. And then rise up. Is that a good one? I could spin around. I could do that. Dizzy shark. That works? Okay. Bite the cat.
He's a legend.